You are live with Get Connected, Canada's most popular tech radio show. I'm Mike Agerbo and your host, John Beeler, here today. We have an awesome program. Later on, we'll be talking about how to build your own home arcade cabinet. This is really cool. I built one in my garage. I am loving it. We'll also be chatting about artificially intelligent powered drive-thrus. If you've been hoping that drive-thrus could be even smarter, it's coming.
That sounds ominous.
Well, wouldn't you like to get through the drive-thru faster?
Yes.
Wouldn't you like the drive-thru to know what you want before you even get there?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we're going to be telling you how that's going to happen. Let's talk about some of the tech news this week, John. It's always my favorite segment. We always get to cover some funky stories. I think the weirdest story this week, John, do you remember Doom?
Of course.
That was one of my favorite games back in the 90s. Basically, you're this soldier. You land on a Mars base, and it's been overtaken by demons, and you got to shoot your way out.
Yes. So this is also one of the games that is usually the first game to be installed on some new device as a sort of proof of concept that they can actually do that on a particular device. Whether it's capable or not doesn't seem to matter.
So some guy figured out how to put Doom on a pregnancy test. I don't know what the meaning of that is overall, but this is like the dumbest thing I have heard. But how did he do it?
Well, basically these electronic pregnancy tests have a tiny little screen.
Yes.
Like 100 pixels by something else.
It's tiny, yeah.
Yeah, it's barely perceptible as to what's on it, other than maybe a check mark if you're pregnant or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he actually changed out the chip inside the pregnancy test because these things are pretty complicated, and he installed Doom on it. I don't know how you control it. Do you have to pee on it to shoot your weapon? I don't know.
This is honestly, I've heard a lot of stupid things in my life. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And yet we're talking about it.
Yeah. Let's move on. Google, they're in the news. There are 3 class action lawsuits being filed in Canada against them. Quebec, Ontario, British Columbia, essentially saying that Google unlawfully collects and profits from users' personal info.
Shock and surprise.
So what are we looking at here, John?
Well, basically, the challenge that people have is that these lawsuits are alleging is that people don't have the ability to opt out of these things because it's just so prevalent. So whether you're visiting a website which has Google Analytics running on it,
which they all do.
They all do.
Yeah.
Ours as well. Or if you're going to use the Google search engine and you're getting search results, everything you type in every app that you use that's Google related is potentially collecting a lot of information. And, Google says that, well, you can turn off that stuff, but effectively you can't use those apps and functionality properly if you do that.
Yeah.
And even if Google does not capture that device and share it with a marketing partner, which is typically how they say that they're selling your data, they can still use it internally to create a profile about you, to know more about you, to market better to you. And so that's the gist of the lawsuit that they have, or that's before the courts. Now, they've requested class action status for this. It hasn't been approved yet.
Okay.
And in Quebec, they're asking for $50 million in damages.
So we each get $1 if they...
Maybe 20 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I think the outcome of this is it's going to be more punitive. But like we were talking off air, this is like couch coins for Google.
I know. In their Toronto head office, they'll just look under the sofa cushions. Oh, there's 50 million.
Yeah.
But it's tough, right? Because Google powers everything now, well, whether you know it or not. And yeah, they're using all that information. That's how they make billions of dollars. And we have kind of given them that right, really, by using their tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is we give up our privacy or some level of privacy for the convenience of having free email that's relatively secure
and a free browser
and all kinds of other free stuff. A good search engine that's quick.
Do you remember when browsers first started? You had to pay for them. Do you remember? like Netscape and stuff back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And quickly they realized that's not where the money is.
No.
The money is mining all of our information,
What we're searching for,
and selling it back to us.
Yeah.
Essentially. Well, we're going to keep on top of that story to see where that all goes, but super fascinating. This was interesting to me as well. Tesla, probably familiar with them from the electric car side. They also make solar panel roofs. They had a separate company. It was called Solar City. I think they amalgamated it into the Tesla brand, and something that they're selling down in the United States. You can actually have your roof tiles replaced with solar tiles, and they've actually got some really nice different types.
it looks like a regular roof.
Yeah. But this roof will power your house. And if your electric company will allow it, you can actually, in some jurisdictions, sell some of the excess power back to the grid.
Yeah.
But I wonder if this is going to work in Canada, like Vancouver.
Well, I think generally with what we've seen on the electric car market side, a lot of people are interested in using electricity for that purpose. And I think, whether you're able to put solar panels on your roof will depend on your building or your strata or that kind of thing. But why wouldn't you want free power? I think what it comes down to is what's the cost per panel, and how much are you going to get out of that panel to make it worthwhile?
This type of technology gives me hope for humanity, though, John. Much like we're going more into electric cars now, we're hopefully in the next 50 years getting away from gasoline, fossil fuels, which emit huge amounts of carbon, greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And I just see a future in the next 50 years where if you're building a new house or building, you have to have solar panels on it to power it.
Yeah. Or at least partially power it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you feel like there's hope for us?
Yeah.
Instead of like burning all the coal?
Well, I think the big problem has been, though, with solar technology is that it's not very efficient.
No.
It takes a lot of panels to make a lot of power.
But for houses, houses have big roofs generally.
Yeah.
But I guess for condos, that's the problem.
Yeah. And that's the thing that you probably wouldn't be able to do. Your building would have to opt into it unless they have
Maybe
something.
you can put a wind turbine on top there too.
Something on your balcony.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm excited. Like this, I think is a good step in the right direction. And I hope they do come to Canada. I'd be interested though, like how well will it work when it's raining all the time? Do you know what I mean? Like how efficient is it?
They're not waterproof.
Well, they better be waterproof or they're going to have a short lifespan. Okay, we're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about smart drive-thrus that are happening now, not just the future, but now, and how to share information between your laptop and your phone, the easy way. Listen to Get Connected here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike and John here. I think a lot of us have been going through drive-thrus more and more during the lockdown. And are we still in the lockdown?
I don't know.
I don't know anymore. Well, to help drive-thrus be even a little bit smarter, the folks at Mastercard are using artificial intelligence. On the line, we've got Stephane Wyper. He's the Senior Vice President of New Commerce Partnerships and Commercialization at Mastercard. That is a long title, Stephane.
It is. I actually like to shorten it to say retail innovation. That's the easier than the long description.
Okay, so we're talking drive-thrus. I think people are probably familiar with Mastercard and what you guys offer. How are you using your expertise and technology to make drive-thrus a little bit better?
It's a great question. It's been great for us. Actually, last year we announced this AI-powered drive-through experience with a first partner we called Sonic, was the partner in the US. We did a prototype, and really we've kind of evolved it now where we're actually launching it with another partner in the US called White Castle. And the idea is really around, we wanted to make sure that every menu doesn't have to be the same, that we as consumers, when we go to a drive-through, probably have some preferences that are particular to us, or that location has preferences that are unique to the location. And the ability for the menu to adjust dynamically, we thought was a really good value proposition that we could help enable with some of our merchant partners. So that's really what we're delivering and rolling out, is the ability for the menu to change. Every time you go to a White Castle, that the menu will adjust depending on which White Castle you're at and which time of day and which location.
would it adjust like to the individual as well? Can you get that granular?
So we always, the one thing we always, view quite highly is we call it sort of privacy by design, making sure that you and all of us as consumers have control over what the experience is. For White Castle, we actually are doing both, where we have what we call an unknown consumer, which essentially is it's not able, the menu doesn't adjust based on knowing who you are. It's going to adjust around things tied to the location. So again, weather patterns, time of day, purchasing history, etc. And then we're also providing the ability for, as a consumer, for me to download a White Castle branded app, for me to agree to the privacy terms and conditions, provide my payment credentials, and even provide my license plate if I'm comfortable doing so. And it means when I go to the White Castle drive-thru, the menu can adjust automatically by recognizing my license plate, show things that maybe are specific to me, so could be on my own preferences. Great example is my wife is gluten-free, so it's always a bit of a struggle trying to ask somebody what are the gluten-free options and keep your fingers crossed that you'll get the right option. So that menu becomes personalized. And then when I submit my order and pick up from the window, the payment happens kind of automatically. So be applied to the card I've registered during that app. I wouldn't have to pay another payment method. It would happen automatically. So yeah, we're enabling both experiences.
Well, that I guess be good during any pandemic, contactless, like completely. You don't even have to put your hand out the window, essentially. I mean, is it smart enough to tell me that maybe I shouldn't get those fries? Maybe I should get the salad instead?
I don't know if that's something that we're providing. I think it would depend. I'd put that down to personal preference. So,
Stephane, how are you not like 500 pounds? Because I know you must be going through these drive-thrus to test this.
A lot of discipline, I guess. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Just I try and it's been interesting actually. It's not only a great way to test technology, it's a great way to actually just have an excuse to actually go to the drive-thru a lot. So I've personally liked it. Although, discipline matters. So.
I'd be dead.
I want White Castle right now.
You want White Castle right now? Yeah, we don't have that in Canada.
No,
but
so that was one of the perks of going to the States.
Yeah, now you're making us sad, Stephane. That
well, there's this. I'll say White Castle is one of the partners. We're obviously keen to see how we can bring these type of technologies north of the border in Canada as well. So I'm, we're not just limited to the US.
So I got to ask the question. Your Mastercard. Everyone knows you from credit cards. Like, why are you getting into this game as well?
We're actually a technology company. So I think that's the way we sort of, really build solutions. And we've been working with retailers for many, many years, thinking about how they evolve their business. So that obviously applies to how we make payments secure and seamless for us as consumers, but also how do we add things to the overall experience. So, that's part of that. We've really been focused on innovation, the changes we've seen happening in the retail space, how we can best serve our merchant partners, our retail partners, as they look to create great experiences, but secure experiences for us as consumers. So I think it's really a continuation of that. And again, all of these technologies were relevant even before COVID, but obviously as a result of COVID, as you were saying up front, the demand for, from consumers to go into environments and remove friction has obviously increased. So yeah, it's very much our commitment as a technology company to work with our retailers and give them the tools to create great experiences for their customers.
This sounds like a really great way to have like an express lane in some of these drive-thrus. If you could actually sort of have like your regular order and then just sort of breeze through it without having to have that long conversation every time as well. Is that something that's planned or possible?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where, it depends a bit on the retailer or location in terms of it's very flexible for what makes sense for them. But, that use case around, in some instances, you know what you automatically want. You're going to drive up and you just want to place the order and leave. So this type of technology can also help with that experience. The one thing I will say is, we always make sure every consumer will have the ability to opt in to actually have this experience. Some people will, be able to opt in and go through it and experience the dynamic menu, but people also will have the ability up front to order the way they do normally. So we're trying to make sure that, again, the consumer always has control, whether they want to participate and test the experience or whether they just want to order as they would normally.
So what are the drive-through restaurants hoping to accomplish with this? Is this more efficiency? Is it going to reduce costs? Are they trying to be more profitable, like to sell more? Like, what are their overall goals with this smart drive?
I would say it's probably a combination of all of those. I mean, in general, I think about it as four questions that are trying to be answered. One is, how do we as consumers like the experience? Do we use it? Is it easy for us to use? Is it secure? Secondly, is just the technology. So is the technology easy to be deployed? Can it be effective? Thirdly, is just the level of work that's required for retailers to actually integrate with their existing store operations. That's a key question. If it's successful, how quickly you can expand it. And then the fourth question is really around, again, the sort of sales metrics or performance metrics on, does this help make people drive, no pun intended, but help more people go through the drive-thru faster? Does it help increase maybe sales? Does it help provide suggestions that increase basket size? So it's really a combination of those four. Is it a great consumer experience? Does the technology actually work? Can it be integrated with existing operations easily? And how does it perform in terms of some of those important financial and commercial metrics?
Who comes up with these ideas at Mastercard, Stephane? Like, did you wake up one morning hungover and thinking, I want to get to a White Castle drive-through quickly and as fast as possible?
It's no, I can't give any credit for that. I think but I think what's been interesting is it's sort of we always sort of look at what's happening in the market, and sort of most importantly, you want to build experiences that are relevant for us as consumers. And I think that's the idea, as we see consumers looking to try and adopt more frictionless technologies. How do you extend that? And I think the other trend that's really interesting is the idea of how does every retail experience become more contextual? How does it become more relevant to the consumers that use it? So I will say a big part of this is sort of market driven, what we see happening in the market, what we see our customers asking for, and how do we build great experiences.
We're talking with Stephane Wyper. He is Senior Vice President over at Mastercard, in charge of artificial intelligence drive-thrus. Maybe that could be your new title, Stephane.
It could be. We have a great artificial intelligence team, so I'll give them the credit.
No, he's the Senior Vice President of New Commerce Partnerships and Commercialization at Mastercard. Is there a place where people can find out more info about some of the things that you guys are doing like this?
Yeah, we through a number of kind of our social channels, Twitter, et cetera, we've sort of published that. I think there's a Mastercard Content Exchange, which gives a great way to be able to keep up to date with everything that Mastercard's doing, and whether it's a bank or retailer, a consumer that wants to learn more. So yeah, there's definitely ways that you can see all the great things that we're doing as a company.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks.
When we come back from the break, still a lot more to talk about here on Get Connected. How would you like to build your own arcade cabinet? It's not as expensive as you think, and actually pretty easy. We've actually done one ourselves. And we're going to be talking about how you can share stuff between a laptop and your smartphone very easily. Back after this. You're back with Get Connected. Mike and John here. Do you remember the glory days of Pac-Man and Space Invaders, Donkey Kong? How would you like to relive those? Well, I've taken on a little project over the past few weeks. I've put together my own arcade cabinet, and it is glorious, John.
Yes, I have my own.
Yeah, of course you do. You always have it before me. You're cooler. You're a cooler nerd. I am loving this. So there's a number of companies out there that make these kits you can get, and they range in price.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get fully built ones, from anywhere $2,000 to $3,000 that include the arcade cabinets, the monitor, little computer, and the games. Or you can buy like kind of a do-it-yourself kit, which I got one of those from Rec Room Masters out of the US, and it's pretty awesome.
It's like a flat packed,
yes,
MDF like plywood thing that you put together. Did you have to use an Allen key?
Oh yeah, did I? And it wasn't like totally easy. I got to be honest. Like, it's like IKEA furniture. Not everything fits all the time. But I made it happen. I made a few modifications along the way. But essentially, you need a kit, and I think they go for several $100s.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only cost.
No,
you also need like the joystick. Like the big joystick pack. And there's a few great ones on the market. Rec Room Masters has their own big joystick panel that you can insert into the arcade cabinet. X Arcade, they make the X Arcade tank stick, which I have, and I love it. I mean, these are arcade quality joysticks and buttons on here. I've got 2 joysticks and a trackball.
Yeah, I have the same tank stick, and it's not as close to the arcade. It is the arcade experience.
Yeah, it's the gold standard in my opinion.
Yeah,
I wouldn't get anything else.
Yeah.
The only thing it's missing and that's my next project later, is the little spinner.
Yes.
Remember games like Tempest?
And Arkanoid.
Yeah.
And even Tron used a spinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that. However, you can actually purchase those spinners. I think they're about $100, and you can actually take out one of the buttons, the arcade buttons, which isn't a big deal because there's like 8 buttons aside. You're not going to miss it.
Yeah.
That will then take it to the next level. So you got the cabinet, you got the joystick. You'll also need a monitor. Some people like to go old school and get the old CRT. Once we had one in our office that had that, but God help you if you ever have to move that thing. Like seriously, we actually had to move it once, and after that, I thought, nope. When we move into our new office, there's no freaking way. I mean, we sold it, but the buyer had to get it out themselves, and it was a struggle
Yes.
because that thing was hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
And we were upstairs.
Oh my God, yeah. There was no elevator.
No.
So I feel sorry for that guy. Anyway, so and then on top of that, you got the cabinet, you got the joystick, you got the monitor. You need something to power it. So in mine, I had an old Windows computer, which is more than enough power on it.
In mine, I used an old netbook.
Yeah, and it works because these old games like Donkey Kong and stuff, it didn't take a lot to power those things.
And you can literally use a Raspberry Pi to run pretty much every old arcade game and a lot of consoles without any problems at all.
And so that's the cool thing. So you talked about the Raspberry Pi. We've talked about it on this program. This is like the under $100 computer you can get. CanaKit here out of North Van. They make a lot of great kits. And yeah, $100, and you can get one of these little Raspberry Pi computers that would essentially be your arcade.
Yeah.
And there's so many games out there. There's literally thousands of games that you can play on this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is glorious. It's just like going to the arcade.
Yeah. I love it. The fun thing about this is depending on how you organize your games, you can literally spend an evening, a night going through just the A's of the games.
Yeah, because I think I have like 2,000 arcade games on this thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you will never play all of them.
No.
But it's fun just to go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember that one that you've probably forgotten.
Yeah. The only problem I have with these home systems because I've DIY'd a few myself. I built them from scratch. I built them from kits. And I've also retrofitted actual arcade games with a computer and a LCD monitor inside. And the problem is like, if you have a couple of like your favorite games, having the right controller configuration is paramount.
Yeah.
Right. Because you need to be able to play, the majority of the games properly. And you also need to have all the right controls. Like you mentioned, the spinner, the trackball is important. Having, definitely you'd want to have at least a 2-player system.
Yes.
The cabinet I currently have in my garage is a 1-player cabinet.
Okay.
And so it's a little tight to put a second joystick into.
Yeah. But this one here, I put a 32-inch monitor in it, which I thought was going to be big. Is it a 27-inch? I think it's a 27-inch, which I thought was going to be big. But no, now I want to build another one with an even bigger monitor in it. But it took me a couple of weeks, to be honest, because there was a few janky parts that I just couldn't get together properly. And then the speakers, where the speakers go, on the top part of the cabinet, above the monitor inside, it just wasn't the right layout. So I actually purchased 2 car stereo speakers, some cheap ones off of Amazon, I think for $30, and a little amplifier control that I put in underneath where, I have a keyboard and mouse that control the computer.
Yeah. That's kind of the fun part of these DIY projects, though, is because you can really customize it and try to get, whatever experience is most important for you. One of the things I did on my last cabinet was I actually put a coin slot in that actually worked.
Oh, that is cool.
So
I don't have a coin slot.
I mean, I just had a bucket of quarters for my friends to use because I didn't want to have like a free coin button, Yeah. But then I just rigged, the coin return button that you push in.
Yeah.
You push that in. That's the equivalent of pressing a coin.
Oh, that would work, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I just moved the micro.
Or you just could make money off your friends.
Yeah,
steal all
they're cheap though. I'd probably get some off you though.
And who has quarters?
Exactly.
But
I take Mastercard tapless.
Yeah, so there's a few good companies out there. I used Rec Room Masters. We've had in our office, we got in a few X Arcade machines. Those things were fantastic as well. They came pre-built.
Yeah.
But God, they're heavy.
Yes.
You're not going to be moving these things around.
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah, and what a lot of people do too is they do cocktail tables. So like
That's cool.
like a little coffee table size kind of thing, and so you can sit on either side.
Because my wife will have that in the house.
Exactly. Relegated to the garage.
I can't even let her listen to this episode.
No.
Because if she even gets a whiff that I want a cocktail table, arcade table, I'm done.
You just have to press a button and it turns around into something else like James Bond.
Or you know what? Maybe I put like a little wooden top on it
Yes.
to hide it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rec Room Masters, X Arcade. We'll actually be doing a blog on this up on our website in the next week or so as well, just to go through some of the details. Don't forget to hit our website, getconnectedmedia.com, giving away a Samsung Galaxy A51 smartphone. It's so easy to enter. Just go to the website, hit the newsletter tab, and all the instructions are there. Again, getconnectedmedia.com. for your chance to win a Samsung Galaxy A51 smartphone. When we come back from the break, more tech to talk here on Get Connected. Stay tuned. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Beeler. Time to talk laptops. Big selling season right now here, back to school, back to work. We've got our good friend Paul Dayco on the line from Huawei. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Hey, no problem. My pleasure.
Wanted to get you on the line. I've actually had a chance to try out one of your guys' notebooks here, and I'm kind of liking it. Obviously in the higher end of laptops, typically you're thinking like the MacBooks and the higher end Dells and HPs. The Matebook is right up there. This one's kind of tricked out with all the latest specs. It's got, the Intel Core i7 10th generation chip inside. So super fast, solid state drive in it as well. But what I found interesting with this particular one is just how you guys have kind of interfaced it with your smartphone line as well, with one of the features called Huawei Share. Can you explain how that all works?
Well, it was pretty much born of the problem that, even though we had laptops and we have smartphones, there was never really a good satisfactory way to kind of put them together and to kind of make them work together. And that's where Huawei Share kind of comes in. This allows us to be able to drag and drop files interchangeably from your laptop to your phone and from your phone to your laptop wirelessly, which allows you to be actually work them together at the same time, giving you some synergy with your workflow.
Well, it's an interesting feature because there's so many times that, I've got my smartphone and there's a bunch of stuff on there like pictures and maybe some videos I've taken, but it's just like a major pain in the butt to get it over to my laptop. So I tried it out with one of your, I think it was the P40 Pro phone, and basically you just kind of tap it on the notebook by the trackpad there, and it brings up like a replica of the phone right on the screen, and from there I was easily able to drag and drop files back and forth, which it's almost like magic.
It's very easy to do, and it's not just files, it's not just pictures and photos. You can actually even copy text, for example, from your phone, and you can Control V, like paste it onto any kind of Word document, and you can even do that as well directly on the phone. So it's very well thought out, and this helps me out a lot with moving things back and forth because I'm the same way as you.
So as far as the notebook line, I think a lot of people have gotten to know you guys through the smartphones, and I love them. They've probably got the best cameras in the market on them. And I love taking them and blowing the pictures up. I've got a few of those now in my house. I feel like a real photographer. But you guys are really getting into the notebook or the laptop side as well.
Yeah, we've actually been doing laptops for a very long time, and I'm very happy that we actually are able to launch these laptops in Canada, especially this one, the Matebook X Pro. It's a great marriage of design and beauty, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, no kidding. I love the screen on this thing here too. It's got like almost a bezel-less screen on it. So, that's great from working on, but also obviously it brings down the overall size and form factor as well.
Exactly. And one of the ways we were able to do that was actually move the camera from, usually the top of your lid of your laptop down to the keyboard section between the F7 and the F6 key. So that allows you to actually get you way more real estate, and also gives you some peace of mind too, because you can just flick that off and on, and you can totally see it closed. You don't have to put any tape or anything on your camera, so that you're not being spied on or watched on.
Yeah, Paul, at first I was a little apprehensive about it, to be honest, just because I'm thinking, do I want people kind of looking up at me? But I have to say, like, the overall privacy aspect of it has kind of won me over now, because it's such an issue now. And I've had friends that have had their laptops hacked, and they've hacked into their actual cameras. And so, yeah, like, people are putting tape on over their cameras and stuff to, to, I guess, get that extra level of privacy. So it's kind of nice to be able to just kind of click a button and the camera just disappears into one of the keys.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite features on this device for sure.
And one more feature that I'm really appreciating, and I'm not seeing it on any of the new laptops. Yes, we're going to a USB-C world. That's the tiny little USB-C connector. You've actually, and this thing is like deadly thin. You've actually managed to not only have those, but you've got like the old-fashioned USB connector on the right-hand side as well.
You have a huge, a lot of different ways to connect to your laptop for sure. Not just for charging, obviously, but also for different connectors, like your HDMI out, for example, or anything for display out, as well as your legacy devices too, like using the old USB standard.
Well, it's great because then, because we're all carrying around these little dongles now so that we can have the extra ports. But with this one, I don't have to carry that around, really, because I've basically got all the ports that I typically use on here. Paul, where can people find out more information about your notebooks and your smartphone?
Obviously, you can get them. You can go to Huawei.com to view a lot of our information on our laptops, our entire laptop line. They're also available, in a bunch of different retailers out there right now in Canada as well. So just check that out. You'll be able to actually shop it directly from our website.
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
My pleasure.
When we come back from the break, more tech to talk here on Get Connected. Stay tuned. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Beeler. Don't forget to hit the website, getconnectedmedia.com, giving away a Samsung Galaxy A51 smartphone. So easy to enter. Just hit the website, getconnectedmedia.com, hit the newsletter tab, and all the instructions are there. On tomorrow's app show, our sister show, you've got to tune in for that. It's Sundays at 10 a.m. here on CKNW 980. Also goes across the Chorus Radio Network to our fine friends from Calgary to Winnipeg. We're going to be talking about a trademark app. If you are a business and you haven't trademarked your business name or some of its key products, that could be a danger. Well, we've got an app that makes it easy and cheap. We'll also be talking subscriptions. We've got a subscription series going on right now with the app show. We'll be talking about all the different subscription services, from the music ones like Spotify, Apple Music, to tomorrow we'll be talking about book subscriptions. If you're an avid reader, how would you like to pay $10 a month for all you can read? Ted Kritsonos from our Toronto headquarters will be giving us the lowdown on that. John, we got some interesting stuff in this week from the Logix folks.
They always give us some great stuff.
Yes, and the more I'm looking at your one here, the more I'm liking it. It's their piston power, and they've got two different versions. So these are those external battery packs. They've got a 10 and a 20. And the 10 and 20 refer to how many milliamp hours. So the 10 is 10,000 milliamp hours, and the 20 is 20,000 milliamp hours. And so, the 20, it's pretty hefty. Like, how would you describe this?
It's a brick.
A small brick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could hurt someone with this.
Yeah.
thing.
The 10 is about the same size as like an iPhone.
Yes. And the 20 is like
2 iPhones.
like a fat iPhone.
Yeah.
But what's appealing about these power banks is what they can charge.
Yeah. The really great thing that's happened in the last few years with these devices is you can actually run your laptop off of one of these.
That is appealing.
Yeah. And I actually had this problem the other day. I was running low on juice. I wasn't anywhere near an outlet. And so we just got these in. I plugged one in to my laptop and I got about 2 hours of juice out of it. And I wasn't even fully charged. The power bank, that is.
Yeah, it's cool. It's got all sorts of connectors. So it's got the standard USB connectors, got the new USB-C and also the micro USB as well. But yeah, John, like, to be able to charge my laptop That is amazing. And this is for the newer ones that have the USB-C
Yes.
power connectors.
Yeah.
So like all the Macs.
Yeah. Just to get into specs a little bit, the 20,000 milliamp piston power, it's got 22.5 watt output.
Yes.
So it's not gonna, if you have the latest MacBook Pro, you might consume more power than this can put out. But if you have like an older MacBook that is maybe a little bit lower in specs, you'll have no problem whatsoever. And I was actually using a 2017 MacBook Pro with no problem.
Yeah. And it charged you up.
Yeah.
Got an extra couple hours?
Yeah. And I was also driving an external monitor at the same time.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have left. I want to thank John and Christina who helped put the show together and all the rest of the folks at the Get Connected team. GetConnectedMedia.com is our website. Check it out. See you again next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. And that little bell icon, hit that and you'll be notified every time we post a new video. And comment. The more comments and the more likes and subscriptions we get, the more videos we can make.